This house have I built by the grace of Ahura Mazda. May Ahura Mazda and the gods protect me and my kingdom and what I have built. King Xerxes. 2,500 years ago, in what is now southern Iran, stood an ancient city of awe-inspiring beauty. Built by powerful kings, it served as the ceremonial capital of Achaemenid Persia, the largest empire of its time. Today, we know it as Persepolis. Founded by Darius the Great around 518 BC, Persepolis was a monument to the vast power and reach of the empire. An impressive and intimidating sight to the many visitors that it received.
Imagine you're one such visitor in the time of King Xerxes, arriving at Persepolis after a long journey across the empire. As you ascend the 111 steps of the grand staircase, the sheer size of the city and the spectacular Gate of All Nations, the official entrance to Persepolis, takes your breath away. Although built by Xerxes, this magnificent gateway reflects the philosophy of his father, Darius. He employed artisans from many lands to build it, as part of his strategy to express consolidated rule over his vast and diverse empire. Beyond the Gate of All Nations lies the centerpiece of Persepolis, the Apadana. Your audience with the king is finally at hand. On the reliefs outside the Great Hall, a familiar scene. Among the tribute bearers from 23 nations, you see figures from your native land, one holding an item similar to the one you carry now. Entering the main chamber, you are overwhelmed by the grandeur of the hall and by the columns towering above you. The king's absolute power was also on full display in the large audience hall known as the Hall of 100 Columns. Historians speculate that the hall was used by the army for important military rituals and ceremonies. Work on the hall began under Xerxes, but would be completed by his son, Artaxerxes. Buildings of this scope took decades to finish, as construction materials were sourced from around the empire. Just south of the Hall of 100 Columns stood the Southeastern Palace, a stately residential area for the king and his family. Away from the bustle of the reception halls, they sat down to eat, drink, and discuss their affairs in these quiet, isolated pockets of the capital. To the west, the Palace of Xerxes. Great feasts may have taken place here, as suggested by relief scenes on the palace staircases. During these lavish events, servants and attendants filed in, carrying vessels of silver and gold overflowing with delicacies from around the empire.
Yet no empire lasts forever. 2 centuries later, Persepolis would fall, burned to embers by Alexander the Great in 330 BC. Since then, the remains of Persepolis have endured, a reminder of the might of the Achaemenid Empire and the diversity of nations once under its rule. We still have much to learn from these ruins. Just as Persepolis was built over time, our understanding of this iconic city evolves as we continue to delve into the inspiring past of ancient Persia.